I recently read an article about what we put as the focal point or the center of our living rooms. Before World War I, it used to be a piano. When you would have guests over, you would gather around the piano and you would sing together. But then that changed as the radio became a thing, and then you guessed it, from the radio came the TV, and now we have even bigger TVs. Today in our Life Lab, we're going to be talking about putting Jesus at the center. In the ancient world, temples were at the center of every single city. And the reason for that was because at the temple was where they believed the presence of their God dwelled, and that meant that's where their hope comes from, and that's where their values also come from. And so Ron, he preached from Haggai chapter 1, and we see that the people of God have returned to the homeland, and they're tasked with rebuilding their civilization. But unlike other civilizations where they focused on the temple being the center, they began focusing on building their own homes. It's almost as if they've forgotten about who they are called to be, who they belong to, and they begin focusing on themselves. And so Haggai, the prophet, he writes this: "You have sown much, but it has brought little. You eat, but there's not enough to satisfy. You drink, but not enough to get drunk. There is clothing, but not enough to keep warm. Anyone earning wages puts those wages into a bag with holes." Now, in our day and age, we don't have temples that are at the center of our cities that is assigned to everybody about where hope and values come from. But it's interesting, in the New Testament, Paul, he says that our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit. And what Paul is doing here is brilliant. What he's saying is that God dwells in us, and when we make him the center, that hope and value stream from us because of who God is. Now, Paul, he's writing this in the context of people who were just like in Haggai's time, not putting God at the center of their lives. So today in our Life Labs, we're going to be talking about what does it look like to put God at the center of who we are, because we are all mobile temples.